Beware of the educated Negro. And I know you might be asking, what does he mean by that? Well, let's first come to our senses to understand that just because you're educated doesn't make you smart. I have met some very educated, stupid people. And what I say beware of the educated Negro is because we tend to vote for them in elections because they're articulate, because they wear suits and they're clever with their words. We tend to gravitate more toward the educated brother in the political realm. But he always seems to be the wrong person to vote for. And this is the reason why I say beware of the educated Negro. Because most of them has been planted and most of them are controlled. Beware of the educated Negro. He was the one that lobbied in the behalf of welfare. You had very black, prominent, educated black men and women that advocated for this program. This is the same program that has crippled Black America. That's why I say beware of the so-called educated Negro. But he came in and he convinced black people that this so-called food and rent program was something that we might be interested in. There was a time where black people did not get welfare, and we was okay. Matter of fact, we was better off than we are today. We had houses, buildings, businesses, land. Now, ever since welfare was implemented by these so-called educated Negroes that convinced us that this was the right road to take, you take a good look at what's been going on now. We don't even own the stores on our own street corners. That's why I say beware of the so-called educated Negro. Because sometimes his people is not in his best interest. And sometimes these people have also been planted in to convince us, for we can fall for the setup. Welfare was most definitely a setup. And a lot of black educated people had a lot to do with it. That's why I say beware of the so-called educated Negro. He was the one that also convinced us to go in and sign up for low-income public housing, which was the very creation of ghettos themselves. Now, you look at public housing. Have you ever went through most public housing residents and seen how it is? I don't even have to question because I know you have. This same educated, so-called educated Negro convinced black people that low-income housing was something that we should look into. Now look at us now. We don't own no houses. We don't own no property, and we don't own no land. That's why I say beware of the so-called educated Negro that comes in and want us to be a part of these so-called government programs. And the only thing they're doing is basically setting us up. Because it's all have been a setup. And it's a very reason why I pay attention to these so-called educated Negroes. Because they come in talking a good game. And they very clever. And they convince us to make the biggest mistakes that we have ever made in black history. It's all been behind the so-called educated Negro. Well, let's go over here and lobby for this. I need your vote for I can go lobby for this. Oh, well, he seems like an educated brother. Let's go ahead and put our support behind him. The next thing you know, we're in a predicament because we thought that educated brother knew what he was talking about, not knowing that he was stupid as stupid can get. Look at all these programs that was been set up by the educated, so-called educated Negro that was with Clinton and Reagan. These was the same ones that convinced us of all of this lawlessness that is going on in our neighborhoods today because of low-income housing, because of supplemented income. And we lost so much momentum behind getting behind these programs. I believe that we would be way better off if welfare never existed and public housing was never implemented. I can prove it. Go back in history. Go back in history and see how black people was living before welfare. They had houses, income, they owned buses. They had an all-owned school bus black company that was ran nothing but by black people. We ran banks. We ran restaurants. Go back, do your history, and you tell me. And it's all been because of the so-called educated, slick Negro that came in and convinced us that these programs would work for us, not knowing all along it was nothing but a setup. Nothing but a setup. Don't worry about it. The government will take care of your housing. Don't worry about it. The government will take care of your income. Don't worry about it. The government will take care of everything you need. Stop striving. Stop going to college. You don't have to educate yourself. We'll just send you a check. And they dummied down the generation. And who was the main corporate? Who was the main person behind this so-called plan? Who was this person that was behind Reagan and Clinton and all of these people that was implementing this program that was targeted towards the African American community? You know what it was? It was the so-called educated Negro. Keep your eyes open and watch out for him. 1.